welcome back, and welcome to the reading for Monday. What is it? The 27th of October, 2025. At least in my book. I think yesterday I didn't update the caption to say the 26th. But anyway, there we are. It's the 27th of October. So how's your day been today? Mine's been pretty good. This morning I managed to get some exercise in, get some stuff in order. And then after that, I did a mediation on Zoom, which was actually easier today. Normally, I travel up to Conroe to do my mediations, but this one this afternoon was on Zoom, which means I can do it from the comfort of my own home. Use my own computer to prepare the documents, which is pretty good. And the people who came in knew exactly what they wanted. They'd come to an agreement, so I didn't have to help them come to an agreement. So it was pretty good, actually. So that is my day up to today. Did a bit of reading. Let me see. Searched for some stuff in our attic, which I didn't find. It wasn't there. But all is in good order. In fact, today's reading is called Cosmic Order. So I wonder what that could mean. The first quote is from someone with whom I'm not familiar. Her name is Marjorie Mayer, and I'm sure Reverend Jesse knows all about her. And she says, in nature, we constantly sense a mystical power. We see the bending trees and say the wind is air in motion. But what is the power back of this moving air? Marjorie Mayer. And of course, she means what's the ultimate cause behind it, not just the fact that things in the atmosphere change, create vacuums, or create spaces, and wind moves into that space, and so on and so forth. She means what is behind everything. And Ernest Holmes in Spiritual Awareness, it was actually published 12 years after he passed away. It's published in 1972. And he says, there is a center of everything, a divine pattern that molds spiritual substance into definite form. In moments of confusion, we may temporarily lose sight of this pattern and be let down, so to speak, into the world of confusion, or heaven momentarily lost. He says, to regain this lost paradise, we must resolutely turn from everything that denies the divine presence at the center of our being. Therefore, I know the cosmic order is life, wholeness, and peace. I now affirm that the divine pattern of perfection, which must be held in the mind of God, is the final, only real and present truth about me. There's nothing in my mind that resists the incarnation, the birth, if you like, of this divine pattern of what I am. My awareness turns to the prototype of me in the mind of God, the God life within me, and the spirit that surrounds me. This is the divine pattern of my life. The Spirit of God passes through me into expression, unto fulfillment. Every legitimate desire is fulfilled, and my entire experience overruns the goodness of life. I accept this goodness in its entirety. God knows me only as a perfect idea, and that perfection I now manifest. As I said, that's from Spiritual Awareness, and it was on pages 36 and 37, at least in the edition that Reverend Jesse had. This is what Reverend Jesse says, and he talks about this quite a lot in his Sunday talk sermons, if you like. Ernest Holmes speaks of divine patterns rather than divine plans. A plan sounds externally imposed, as if God had a specific agenda for each of our lives. If that were true, we wouldn't need to live them out. All would be accomplished regardless. Instead, a patterning intelligence accepts our heart's desires and acts upon them by leading us to cross paths with new ideas, other people, and necessary materials to build them out in form. So there's a couple of things here that strike me. Reverend Jesse is always talking about this idea of cosmic patterns as opposed to cosmic plans, or God plans, if you like. And to me, it's perfectly logical. I mean, if God had a plan for everybody's life and you had to follow that, then there wouldn't be there wouldn't be much point in having choice, in having personal choice. And I guess some people could argue, well, it's a plan, but you don't have to follow it. And you're obeying God's will when you follow his plan, and when you step off the plan, you're not. But if you think about that logically, it doesn't make sense. I mean, why would a cosmic intelligence put out plans for everyone and say, oh, I want to watch these people walk along these plans, and if they don't follow them, I'm going to zap them? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Also, predestination, which says, whatever you do, it's all predestined. That doesn't make sense either. There would be no such thing as free will. And many religions, Christianity amongst them, say human beings have got free will. So to me, that's why the patterning intelligence makes sense, that there are patterns. When we actually move through our lives, if we're open and alert, we will see patterns that lead us to development. So in other words, we don't have to choose that. But I firmly believe this, that if you live your life with good intention, even if you make wrong turns, as it were, you'll always end up back on a path that is going to lead you to personal development and personal improvement. And that's what I believe. So I believe the patterns are in place for us to actually seek them out, follow them, and develop ourselves in ways that actually expand us and expand all of life. So that's one thing. The other thing is, Reverend Jesse really doesn't mention here, going back to what Ernest Holmes was saying, and he talks about cosmic order, and he talks about, where is it? He says, okay, I now affirm that the divine pattern of perfection, which must be held in the mind of God, is the final, only real and present truth about me. And this goes back to Plato's idea, where he talks about the fact that everything you see on this plane of existence, for everything, there is a perfect spiritual counterpart. And that what you see here is the reflection of that perfect spiritual counterpart, which Holmes here expresses as the divine pattern of perfection, which must be held in the mind of God for me, you, and everything. So to me, this simply says, look, we're here to develop. We're here to learn, to develop, and to evolve. And in our evolution, we help other things evolve. And that, according to Holmes, this evolution will go on forever. We evolve, everything alive around us is evolving, the planet's evolving, the galaxy, the cosmos, everything is evolving. And where it's going, we don't know, but we're part of this. So, hey, that's my 10 cents for today. The affirmation: I feel the presence, capital P, as perfection, love, and goodness, making my life whole and complete. So the presence is God, the Spirit of God. He perceives that as perfection, love, and goodness. And when we do that, he says it makes his life whole and complete. And when we use the affirmation, it makes our life whole and complete. So we seek the pattern and we seek to move forward. We seek to evolve. And as Holmes said, it goes up and it goes in spirals. A spiral is a learning curve, right? You learn, you go up. And then in your learning, you come down again because you make mistakes. But you learn from your mistakes and then you go up again. And it's an ever upward spiral. And that, according to Holmes, is the way that we learn through life. This life and whatever lives are to come. So I know for each and every person here, that they seek out and truly find that idea which helps them evolve along the path of perfection. And I release my work with gratitude into a divine law that even now has said yes, and so it is. And so remember my colleague, Reverend Lisa, tomorrow, 9:15, Creative Life Spiritual Essentials Facebook page. And you'll see me tomorrow, somewhere at about 5 o'clock, on whatever social medium you seek me out. So until next time, namaste.